Hello, everybody, and welcome in to episode 58, part 2, Dorton and Doetkott Debate podcast of the NFL mock, part 2 there, of the NFL mock draft episode. So if you liked the first one, picks 1 to 16, then you're bound to like picks 17 to 32. Because it was a good time. So, without further ado...
Is that so, huh?
Caleb, with the Dante Culpepper jersey at pick number 17, who do you have the Las Vegas Raiders going with?
The guy that I thought about, if you listen to episode 58, part 1, I thought about the Vikings taking him. Spoiler alert, if you didn't listen to part 1, you should probably do that. But I have the Raiders taking Elijah Vera Tucker.
Okay.
Interior offensive lineman from USC. And here's why. I don't know if you noticed this, but they let their entire offensive line just leave. They traded Trent Brown to New England for a 5th-round pick. They traded Rodney Hudson to Arizona for a 3rd-round pick. And they traded Gabe Jackson to Seattle for a 5th-round pick, which, according to my calculations, leaves them with not much of a starting offensive line. They did extend Colton Miller.
A pretty good one.
So why not add Vera Tucker?
Yeah, that's fair. It's hard to refute that information there.
Say, I'm starting to regret my pick here.
Nick, who'd you have him taking?
Well, hold on a second here. Well, I was not too sure about this pick. I think they could go several different directions. I don't think they take any skill position players, that's for sure. There's one safety in this draft that's deserving of a first-round spot. That's Trayvon Moehrig of TCU. I think that is the approach they take. I think they go safety here. I could see him going corner. I could definitely now see them going offensive line. Thanks to that wealth of information from Mr. Sipe here. But, I have Trayvon Moehrig. We'll see if I'm right, but, if you want safety, it's this guy. If he's gone, you're not drafting safety in the first round. But I still have him left, and I think that's where they go.
I have the Raiders going with Micah Parsons from Penn State. We mentioned him a couple times here. Now, what is one thing interesting to note, folks? Remember, the Raiders, who is the head coach? It was the GM.
Spider Y2 Banana.
Spider Y2 Banana, John Gruden, folks. This guy has been known these past couple drafts to make some head-scratcher moves. Obviously, not with the Henry Ruggs one. That was a good pick. But I think he shocked some people when he drafted Cleveland Farrell as high as he did. John Gruden is a guy that likes to go
I was saying,
off the wall.
Are there any Clemson guys here? They'll take a Clemson guy, right? That's what
Let's
they
go.
Tanner Muse. Is he still in college? Or was he last year's draft?
Who'd you say?
Tanner Muse.
I'm not sure.
They haven't done too bad, though. I mean, they got Max Crosby out of nowhere. Josh Jacobs was pretty good. I mean, they've had some decent pick, but yes, they have had some head scratches as well.
But so I have them going with Micah Parsons. I think the offense is pretty solid. I could see them potentially going offensive line as well too. But at this point, a lot of my bigger offensive line prospects are off the board. So maybe they still go with that route. But I think if they can get Parsons really sure up the middle of that defense there, that would be huge to help the Raiders, try and compete for a playoff spot. We'll have to see what they decide to do there. Pick 18, folks. Miami Dolphins have their second first-round pick here. I will let Caleb start with this one. Caleb, what do you have the Dolphins doing at 18?
Well, there is a reason why I changed from my Minnesota Wild polo to a Miami Dolphins jersey. Dante Culpepper, got to go with the throwback. And that's because this is where I have my boy Rashad Bateman going.
Okay.
Got a Skyuma, Rashad Bateman. Now, call me crazy. Call me a homer. I don't want the hat on. But I think Rashad Bateman will be the wide receiver number 1 out of this draft class. When all is said and done, he is a pristine route runner. He can catch anything that is thrown to him. The one that pops into mind is that one-handed catch he had against South Dakota State. He can make people miss. He's got good size. He was the Big Ten wide receiver of the year in 2019.
I honestly think Tyler Johnson might have been better that year, though, anyways. But yes, he was. Statistically, Johnson was better.
Because he got more targets.
Yeah, true. Not that it matters, anyway.
Yeah, I'm not going to knock Tyler Johnson. They were both great. I just think Bateman's better. The main knock on Bateman, which anybody who actually watched his games never had this question, but apparently it was a question amongst like a lot of experts. They thought he wasn't fast. He silenced that by running a 4.39 40. Sub 4.4 is pretty damn good for a wide receiver of his stature, receiver who can make the plays. He has body control, everything. I think he's the most complete wide receiver in this draft. And Miami, I know you had them taking Chase. I had them taking Sewell. And then you add Bateman. Bateman could be the wide receiver number 1 there with, Parker and Fuller.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly you have an offense with Tua, Parker, Fuller, and Bateman, as well as Mike Gesicki. Oh my. They just need to take like Travis Etienne in like the start of the second round and that. Lucas, I think you'd like that offense.
I would not complain in the slightest bit if we didn't have. So now I'll get your pick in a second here, Nick, here for this one. I just want to make a quick comment here. If Miami gets Sewell at 6, if Cincinnati does not get him and they go with the Jamar Chase, Miami gets Sewell at 6, more than likely by the time 18 rolls around, Devonta Smith's going to be gone and Jalen Waddle should be gone. This is the Eagles, you never know. But if that's the case, Rashad Bateman might be the next wide receiver available. And if he's there at 18, I would not complain in the slightest bit if Miami decided to take him and then they try and get ETN in the second round. I'd be okay with that. But Nick, so I'll get your pick here at 18. Who do you have Miami getting?
Nobody. I have them trading.
Oh.
Yes. I think they trade down. I think they already got their wide receiver, and I have them taking. What did I have? Devontae Smith? No.
I think you had Chase.
Chase. We both have them taking Chase, so they already got their wide receiver. I don't think there's really anybody here worth taking this high that they really need. So I think they trade down, and there's one team I think that, in my opinion, desperately wants an edge rusher, and I don't have any edge taken yet. So I think Baltimore moves up from 27 to trade with Miami, go to 18, and draft an edge rusher of their choice. And I'm going to say they draft a guy that Caleb's not very high on, and Kwity Paye. How do you pronounce it?
I think it's just Kwity.
Kwity Paye.
Kwity Paye. Okay. I'm going to go with my pick here. I have Miami going with Najee Harris. Now, I did have them going receiver with Jamar Chase at pick 6. I think running back is the move that they have to go here at 18, assuming that they already draft a wide receiver at 6. Let me make that clear again. So I have them going with Najee Harris. I think Harris is the best running back in this class. So I would prefer if Miami went with him. Harris has great size, good demeanor. He's very decisive with his runs. He doesn't mess around too much. Has soft hands too, so he's good with his hands, not brick hands out there. The speed
good moisturizer or what?
Yeah.
You trying to get handsy with them, or?
The speed isn't amazing, but if he's decisive with his runs, that might be okay. So I want Miami to get Najee Harris at 18, and I think from a lot of things that I've seen, that the Dolphins front office has been having a lot of meetings and contact with him. If he's there at 18 and Miami already got Chase or someone else at 6, I think they go with Najee Harris at 18. So that is who I have Miami getting there. Pick number 19 is the Washington football team. So, Nick, I'll start with you. I know you had them trading up in a trade, so you don't have Washington at 19, I believe, right? You have
I have the
somebody
Chargers at 19, yes.
Or do you have the Chargers?
And I have them taking an O-lineman. I believe you guys had them taking an O-lineman with their pick at 13 or whatever it would have been. I think they trade back and take an O-lineman still, and I have them taking Tevin Jenkins, offensive lineman, Oklahoma State.
Okay. Caleb?
Who are we picking now?
This is Washington at 19.
We're picking Washington.
Okay, I was confused why you were saying we picked earlier for them. I was like, this is Washington's first pick.
Yeah.
I have them taking, really, you could just throw up the remaining top 20 prospects and just have, who's their coach, GM now? Oh, it's Riverboat Ron, isn't it?
Yeah, Ron Rivera, yeah.
Yeah, just have him throw a dart at the wall, and whichever name it lands on, take that, because it's probably a need. I could see them going safety with the guy that you mentioned earlier with Morig. I have them going with Greg Newsome II, the cornerback out of Northwestern. He's a very solid corner. The only reason he's not in the same conversation as the other top 3 corners, he had an injury in 2018, 2019, and then he had a groin injury in the 2020 Big Ten Championship game. So he has been hurt at least once in each of the past 3 years. Yet this past year, he was still 3rd-team All-American and 1st-team All-Big Ten. So he's a very solid corner, and really, you can't go wrong with any pick here. As long as the player is a first-round talent, Washington made a good pick. There really are no wrong answers for Washington.
I agree. I had Washington going offensive line here. I also have them. So funny, Nick, that you had Chargers at 19 taking Tevin Jenkins. I have Washington taking.
So we both have Tevin Jenkins at 19, even if we have different teams. Of course we do. Of course.
Washington, they have a really solid defense. The offense is decent, but I think the offensive line, especially on who they decide to throw in at quarterback, if it's Fitzpatrick or Heineke, or if they draft someone else later on, who knows. I have them going offensive line, though, and I think Jenkins is the next one available there for them at that pick. So now, do you have something you wanted to say, Caleb?
We all know they don't need to draft a quarterback. Taylor Heineke is the next coming of Jesus Christ himself.
Good point. It's a good point. That was dumb of me to assume otherwise.
He is going to make Patrick Mahomes look like a scrub.
Kind of like Tom Brady does.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He's going to make Tom Brady look like a scrub.
You checked yourself. You checked yourself.
Taylor Heineke is going to end the GOAT debate.
Who did Taylor Heineke lose to in the playoffs? That's right. Thomas, Patrick, the GOAT, Brady. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Now, do you want to compare the rosters of the teams?
Nope. I just Which quarterback won?
So we're using
number
quarterback
20.
wins now.
Pick number 20, Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears, I think they could go a couple of different ways here. I have them going cornerback, and I have them going with the cornerback that Caleb just talked about. Greg Newsome II, the corner out of Northwestern here. I know that they've lost Fuller in the offseason here, so that definitely is a position of need that they'll need to address there for sure. So I have them going with Greg Newsome. Obviously, you mentioned the injury histories that he had. Another thing, too, only 1 interception in 20 career starts as well, so doesn't get a whole lot of picks. At the end of the day, as long as you're playing good defense and you're not allowing the other team to make a catch or limiting them, not getting a lot of interceptions doesn't really bother me a whole lot. But anyways, yeah. So I have them going with Greg Newsome here at pick 20.
The Big Ten is pretty run happy too. So
Sure.
there's that.
Caleb, who do you or Nick? Yeah,
I'll
go with you.
I'll just jump into it. I have them taking a cornerback as well. But I do not have them taking Newsome. I have them. The first site I looked at, this was their number one cornerback, Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech. I have him going to the Bears. I think, as Lucas said, they lost Fuller. They need a cornerback. The direction they take, I already have 13 gone. And so I think they take Farley out of Tech.
Caleb?
I have them going with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the linebacker out of Notre Dame. He's a linebacker with the athleticism and coverage skills of a safety, and he's a hard hitter. But honestly, what don't the Bears need other than quarterback? We already know they got their QB1 now. Per at Bears Twitter.
Boy, that ain't sarcasm.
Oh no, Andy Dalton. He's the only person on Taylor Heineke's level.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, I think getting Owusu-Koramoah, you add that to the defense. There's a lot of pieces they need. And I have him as probably the best available player left. Might as well just take him.
Yeah, I agree. I think Chicago doesn't really have a whole lot of holes besides quarterback, obviously. So I think the one hole that they do need to address is corner, and I think that's probably where they'll go, is my opinion when I said that. But we'll have to see what happens here. Indianapolis Colts at pick 21. Caleb, I'll start with you here. What do you have the Colts going with?
Yeah, I have the guy that you guys both had taking at 19 going to different teams, Taven Jenkins, the offensive tackle from Oklahoma State. They just got Carson Wentz. They already have some solid pieces on the offensive line. Why not just solidify that offensive line? He was first team All Big 12 in 2020. He's a 6'6", 320-pound tackle who could still healthily put on another 10 to 15 pounds on that frame. That's a big boy protecting Wentz.
Nick?
They do have they might have the best offensive line in football, but they could still use a tackle. However, I don't think they address that. I think they address the defense. They already have a good defense, but they don't have a very good pass rush. So I think they go edge. And honestly, who knows who the best edge in this draft is? Who knows who the fifth best edge in this draft is? It's anyone's ball game. So it's kind of just to take your pick. I think they go Jalen Phillips out of Miami, but they could go Osai, Ojulari, Owe. I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name, but I'm going Jalen Phillips out of Miami. The end. So it's my pick.
Okay. I also have Indy going offensive line here. I have them going with the offensive tackle from Texas, Sam Cosmi. That's as far as offensive lineman goes. After the first few, I think it's kind of a crapshoot of who you want to throw out there is the next best one. So I have them going with him again. Shore up the offensive line even more to make it great. Like that already is, so just add on that. It's never a bad thing for sure. So I have them going with Cosmi out of Texas. Pick number 22 is the Tennessee Titans. Nick, I'll start with you here. Who do you have the Titans going with?
I think Titans go offensive line. And to be quite honest, there's probably only one. There might be more than one first-round O-lineman left, but I think the only guy that's legitimate first-round left is Christian Darrisaw out of Tech.
You still have him on your board?
I still have him left, yes. So I have Tennessee taking him at 22, and that would be a heck of a pick.
That would be a great pick for him. That would be a great pick. Caleb?
I have him going linebacker / edge rusher, Azeez Ojulari from Georgia. He has the ability to play either 3-4 linebacker or edge. He does have a limited repertoire in his pass rushing moves. He's better off coming from the linebacker spot and being in pursuit. Um, but he's very explosive in both his play and his athleticism. I think, what was it, they had Jadeveon Clowney and that failed.
Yeah.
I think adding him is kind of you're getting that same idea of someone who could play 3-4 linebacker or edge rusher, not as big as Clowney, but I really like Ojulari's athleticism, and I think that would be a good pick for them there.
Sure. Yeah, this is a pick that I think I had them going offensive line for a while, but then I was looking at it, I'm like, you know what? You know who's still left? Rashad Bateman.
If he's
I
left,
have
I think
Rashad
they pick him.
Bateman going to Tennessee, put alongside A.J. Brown. I
Two
mean,
big
those two
receivers.
guys, A.J. Brown, and you have Rashad Bateman as well, too. Oh,
I'd love to see that offense with Bateman, Brown, Tannehill, and Henry. If Bateman's left, I do agree they would take him. I would love to see it. And
Fun fact.
Tennessee is one of my favorite teams. I mean, I'm Vikings, then I'm Tom Brady, and then I'm a Titans fan. So I'd love to see Bateman go to Tennessee.
Fun fact. That would be, the second PJ Fleck wide receiver that the Titans have drafted in 5 years?
Yes, Corey Davis, who's actually been pretty good for them.
He's been a little disappointing for where they drafted him, but yeah, I mean, he's been solid.
Well, he's better than John Ross and probably Mike Williams, who went first round that year. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so I have them going with Bateman. It may not be the pick that they need necessarily, but you figure
this
you
team
can
doesn't
have
really
him
have that many holes, though. I mean,
they don't have a whole lot of holes, and I think if you
pick.
really can get that would be a great pick for him if Bateman's still there. Pick number 23, the New York Jets have another pick here for that pick. So, Nick, I'll start with you. Who do you have the Jets taking at 23?
The guy Caleb just had going at 22, Azeez Ojulari, edge from Georgia. I think there's going to be a run on edge here. I just had Kwity Paye. Now I think Ojulari goes. I could see Tennessee. I just said Tennessee takes O-lineman, but I could see them going edge as well. But the Jets, they got needs all over the place, obviously. Don't really know what exactly they're going to do, but as far as I think they go defense, and there's not really any linebackers left. There's not a safety. I doubt they go interior D-line, so it's either corner or edge, and I'm going with edge. So Azeez Ojulari is the guy.
Caleb?
I also have them going with an edge rusher, but I have them going with Kwity Paye. This is the first true edge rusher because, like I said, I see Ojulari as more of that 3-4 linebacker who can also play edge, but is better suited to be the 3-4 linebacker. Kwity Paye, pure edge rusher. He did have a low sack production in college, though, which is where he's got the athleticism. He looks like he is an elite NFL pass rusher. He didn't get the sacks in college, which is why he falls so low. It's crazy to think though that middle of the NFL season we were talking about how guys like Rousseau and Paye and Ojulari were maybe top 15 picks, and now it's kind of calmed down on the edge rushers. I don't think Rousseau's even a first round talent.
Yeah, he had is he the one who had 16 sacks that 1 year with Miami?
Yeah, opted out of this year, but he's definitely fallen down the boards.
Mm-hmm. And just real quick, if Trayvon Moehrig is left, I think they take him here. They traded away Jamal Adams, who was a very good pick by them, but obviously now they don't have him. However, I have Moehrig gone, but if he's left, which he definitely could be, I think they go with him.
I had the Jets going with Caleb Farley here, the corner from Virginia Tech. I think they can really try and shore up that secondary a little bit there, especially when they traded Jamal Adams last year as a ginormous hole. Now, obviously, Jamal Adams is a safety, Farley's a corner, nonetheless, defensive back. And I think that's the position that they should definitely try and focus in on here for sure. So I have them going with Farley from Virginia Tech.
Will say, though, with
go
the
ahead.
Jets, I could also see them taking offensive linemen there. They just drafted Mekhi Becton last year.
Yeah.
And then they went and got Zach Wilson. Why not add I mean, I've got Samuel Cosme still on my board. I thought about taking him there. There's still going to be some offensive tackles around there that you could justify taking 23rd overall. They might go offensive tackle there. I'm still sticking with the Kwity Paye pick, but
if a wide receiver slips, I could see him doing that too.
Yeah.
Anything to help out their quarterback.
Yeah, that's both good points. Both good points.
By the way, not to interrupt, but I don't know what on earth is up with my iPad. I've had it charging for a long time, and it keeps draining on me. It's at 1%. So, unfortunately, I think this may die on me, so you two may have to finish this off. But, yeah, just so you know, if I all of a sudden disappear, that's what's up.
Well, thanks for the heads up. Caleb and I can finish it off.
I have an effective iPad, I guess. I don't know.
Well, thanks for the heads up. That's good to know. It's good to know. We'll try and get him in here. Pick number 24, Pittsburgh Steelers. Interesting one. I think they have a pretty big hole at running back. Nick, who do you have Pittsburgh going with?
With James Conner signing with Arizona, I think they go ahead and take the first running back off the board. I personally think Najee Harris is definitely the number one over Etienne. It's between those two. I definitely would go Najee Harris. I might have a little Bama bias. But then again, why wouldn't you when it comes to running back? I mean, look at Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs. I thought about, I'm like, well, let's look into it. I thought about Etienne. He did decent with the pass game. I think the Steelers want a guy who can catch. But then I was looking. There was one guy who literally pretty much called Najee Harris Le'Veon Bell. I'm like, well, all right, that does it. So, yeah, they'll take Najee Harris, who I think is the best running back. I think he should go here, and I think Pittsburgh elects him. Not that Etienne would be a bad pick, but I think they go Harris.
Caleb?
We actually have the same pick this late in the draft. I had Najee Harris, the Doak Walker Award winner for 2020. He's a tough runner. He's a proven receiver. And an underrated value is that he's actually pretty solid in pass protection, too. In the NFL today, it's very rare to have like a true workhorse running back.
Very important, too.
Harris has the talent where he could be a workhorse running back. He could be a 3-down running back.
Yeah.
And especially when their best two running backs are Kalen Ballage and Benny Snell, both of whom I were very high on coming out of college. I love the Ballage pick for Miami a couple years ago. He had one good game last year. Yeah.
And if Pittsburgh goes ahead and takes Harris, that is probably my early pick for Rookie of the Year. Offensive.
Yeah. It's kind of like a Clyde Edwards-Helaire fit, where going into a very good team already and just a rookie running back who can just jump right in. Hopefully they don't bring Le'Veon Bell in. My fantasy team would hate that.
Yeah.
Well, if Miami doesn't get Najee Harris at 18, they go elsewhere. I could definitely see Pittsburgh getting Najee Harris at 24. So I have them going with the second best running back in the class, and that's Travis Etienne from Clemson. That's pretty much the only hole on the team. And so you might as well try and get it with the first or second best running back in the game in the prospect class. So that's going with Etienne from Clemson. 25, Jacksonville Jaguars pick again here. Nick, we'll go with you. Who do you have Jacksonville going with?
Well, once upon a time, Jacksonville had possibly the best cornerback duo in the league with Ramsey and Bowie, but now they don't really have any cornerbacks. So I think they go ahead and take cornerback after. Well, they do have one. They drafted one last year, C.J. Henderson. I think Caleb and I might have even got that pick right.
Yeah.
And I believe you guys both have J.C. Horn gone. I still have him on my board. Cornerback out of South Carolina. I have him going here to Jacksonville at 25.
Caleb?
I have them, what is it? The good old quote from the Blind Side, something about the first check is for the home, the second's for the insurance or something like that. First pick is for Trevor Lawrence. 25th pick is for Samuel Cosme, the offensive tackle out of Texas. Got to protect the franchise, and he's a 6'7", 310-pound offensive tackle.
The big boy.
Started 34, 35 games for the Texas Longhorns. I think that's a great pick for them, and they get to protect Lawrence. So,
I like it.
Can't have him going down like Joe Burrow.
No, you cannot. No, you cannot. That's a great quote, too. I also have them going offensive line, but I have them going with Alex Leatherwood, the offensive tackle from Alabama. I had Cosme going a few picks earlier to Indianapolis, so I have Leatherwood next, the next best available as far as offensive lineman goes. So, yeah, definitely want to try and protect Lawrence. You don't want to see him going down in a injury like Joe Burrow type did. So give him all the help and protection that you can for him. So, yeah, I have Leatherwood at 25 to Jacksonville. Moving on to 26, the Cleveland Browns are on the clock here. Caleb, I'll start with you. Who do you have Cleveland going with?
Well, since they let Sheldon Richardson walk, I think Christian Barmore, the defensive tackle out of Alabama, he's a very disruptive interior lineman. 8 sacks in 2020 from the defensive tackle position. And the way he was just absolutely bullying Wyatt Davis in that national championship game, I think Barmore is the move there. And I think Cleveland knew that they were going to be able to get Barmore with the 26th pick when they let Richardson go. It makes sense. You let go of one very good defensive tackle, you bring in a younger and better version. It just makes a lot of sense.
All right. Well, Caleb and I have the same pick at 24, and we have the same pick at 26. Christian Barmore. I think Cleveland's one of the teams that definitely could use an interior D lineman. I have none off my board yet, and I think Christian Barmore is the pick for all the reasons Caleb mentioned. And this is the 6th Alabama player I have going in the top 26. By the way, no Ohio State players, and I don't have any going, which is very weird because it seems like the last few years there's been like 5, and they just made the national championship. Oh, sorry, except Justin Fields. Except Justin Fields. One Ohio State. Sorry, but like they've had like 3 defenders in the first round every year it seems like, and Justin Fields the only one I have. I just thought that was weird. The 2 national championship teams, I got a bunch of Bama players and no Ohio State players except Fields.
I have Cleveland going defense, but instead of defensive tackle, I have them going edge. I have them going with Jalen Phillips from Miami as the first edge rusher off the board here.
With Garrett.
Yeah, along with Garrett, I figure, both of those sides, if you can get both of those guys coming on the end, really put that pressure on the quarterback and get some sacks there, I think that'd be huge. They may go D tackle, and that very well may be the route that they go, but I think for big numbers, I think they would go Jalen Phillips.
I could totally see that. It's a pass-happy league, but the Browns like to run with Chubb. You get the lead, you run with Chubb, you rush the quarterback and get sacks. I could totally see it.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what Cleveland decides to go with. 27, Baltimore here. Nick does not have Baltimore, though. You have Miami at 27. Yes. So who do you have Miami going with?
Now, I don't think, 18 seemed a little high for a running back from Miami, so I had them trading down. However, I then have Najee Harris going, and as a Dolphin fan, I would definitely want Harris. So potentially that would be a little disappointing if this happened, but I do have them getting a running back. I have them taking Etienne since Harris is gone. I would rather have Harris, as I mentioned, but Etienne's not bad. It's solid, and if you can get him 9 below and get some other draft capital with it, it might be worth it. So I have them at 27 taking Travis Etienne, a running back out of Clemson. I'm fairly confident they go running back second, especially if they do end up trading down. Yeah. They might not want to take one at 18. We'll see. But, yeah, Etienne's the guy.
Caleb?
I have them going the Ravens, not the Dolphins. The Ravens. I have them going with Jalen Phillips, the edge rusher out of Miami. He's fallen this far because he does have injury issues, and especially concussions. I believe he had 3 of them. It was something ridiculously high. But on the same side, he's on the other side. He's built like a Jadeveon Clowney, Danielle Hunter type pass rusher, and he had 6.5 sacks in the last 4 games of 2020. So I think the Ravens get a good pick there. Yeah.
I'm fairly confident the Ravens go edge. I mean, I even have them trading up to go address it. I'm pretty confident they take edge.
Same here. I have them going edge at 27. I have them going with Kwity Paye from Michigan here for that pick at 27. Again, Ravens are one of the teams that they don't have a ton of holes, but if they can get some more pressure on the quarterback and get an edge rusher here, I think that's where they decide to go.
So yeah, I have them taking Kwity Paye at 18. You have him at 27. Now that I think of it, none of the edge rushers are super high up there. Maybe they don't trade, but if they really do like one, they may trade up just to make sure they get that one. But if they don't really have, it kind of depends. If they have their eyes set on a specific guy, I think they trade up. If they don't, they'll just settle for whatever's left at 27. We shall see, but I think they definitely take edge.
That's what they say. You gotta get the guys that you want. And if you really want someone, you'll trade up to get them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. So, 28 is the New Orleans Saints here. Nick, start with you here. Who do you have the Saints taking at 28?
I got a boy from Florida. You got Kadarius Toney going here, wide receiver at 28. I think they go wide receiver, but Michael Thomas, I believe,
Overrated.
He plays a lot of slot though, correct?
He does a lot of slants.
Yeah. So I mean, I
wasn't. Oh, we're talking Toney or I?
No,
Thomas.
Oh yeah.
Like Elijah Moore is a big slot guy, so I'm thinking, well, maybe not Moore. They might go. The Saints just seem to the Saints. I don't know why they just kind of seem to be the one who would take Toney, who can kind of, he's kind of like a Tyreek Hill in a sense. He's not very big and he's fast. He can kind of make anything, a lot happen with little. The Saints just seem to be the team that I think would take a guy like that. So I have Toney going over like an Elijah Moore or a Rondale Moore here, for instance. So Toney's the guy.
Caleb, what do you have the Saints going with?
I do not have them going wide receiver. I have them going on the defensive side of the ball, and I have them taking a linebacker, Zaven Collins out of Tulsa. He's got excellent coverage, and he can get into the backfield too. I think he'd start day one with Demario Davis at linebacker. What was it? They'd let Quan Alexander go, so they do need a linebacker. And Collins is probably my favorite pure linebacker in this draft. I did have Ojulari going earlier to the Titans, but he's kind of that 3-4 edge type player. I guess I also had Owusu Koroma going earlier too, but Collins is my favorite.
For the Saints at 28, I have them going edge. I have them going with Azeez Ojulari, Georgia here. For kind of the reason, you've mentioned him before as well. I think that would really help the defense as well for the Saints. That's kind of been a part of the game that's been a little inconsistent at times for him these past couple seasons. So all the help that they can get on defense to shore things up a little bit, that would be huge. So I have them going with that at 28. Now the Green Bay Packers at 29. Everyone and their mother last year assumed that the Packers were probably either going to go with wide receiver or they were going to go with defense. And they did not do either. They went with quarterback Jordan Love, which
and traded up to get him.
To this day, why? I don't know. I don't know why, but they did. Caleb, I'll start with you.
They like losing NFC Championship games, apparently.
Yeah. Caleb, who do you have the Packers going with at 29?
Wyatt Davis.
Okay.
They let Corey Linsley go. He's now a Charger, so they could use some help on the interior of the offensive line. It is a deep wide receiver class, and for some reason, ever since they drafted, who was it they took in the first round? It was that year they took like Jamon Moore, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I think it was Moore they took in the first round.
I can't remember.
But they haven't drafted a wide receiver first round since then.
Yeah. I just think it's funny how you just said how Christian Barmore destroyed this guy in the championship, and then 3 picks later you have him going.
Oh yeah, I mean he's still a solid interior offensive lineman. He's just not suitable to match up to Christian Barmore.
Nick?
I have them going wide receiver because they should. However, I'm not very confident because, as Caleb mentioned, they haven't drafted one in a long time, even when they clearly should have. But I'm just going to go with the pick. Not necessarily that. I mean, I don't really know what they're going to go, so I'm just going to go with what they should go with, and kind of hope they do that. And I have Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss left, so I think that's the guy. One mock draft I have has Bateman left, and the Packers taking him. Boy, I hope not, because I don't want to see that guy in a Packer uniform. But yeah. I have him gone, and I have Elijah Moore left. So Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss is the guy.
I had the Packers also going wide receiver, but I have them going with Florida Gator wide receiver Kadarius Toney here. Just to get a really explosive guy so Devontae Adams doesn't have to completely carry the workload. He's obviously shown he more than definitely can do that, but it will be nice if Rodgers doesn't have to try and force balls to him, to have another receiving threat there and a really explosive, fast one in Kadarius Toney. So I have Packers.
I think the Packers should go all out, trade way up into like the top 5 and draft Kyle Pitts, and then they'd win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They won't.
They haven't had a
They
tight
won't.
end since
They should.
Michael Finley.
Yeah, that's
true. I never even thought of that till now. They won't do it. But honestly,
no.
I think they should do everything they can, move up, and draft Kyle Pitts. And I think that would be the talk of the draft.
I think it would. I agree with you. I agree. Pick number 30, though, we got the Buffalo Bills. Caleb, we'll start with you here. Who do you have the Bills Mafia taking?
Rondale Moore, wide receiver out of Purdue. He is
destroyed the Gophers.
I mean, he's destroyed a couple teams in his time. Huh. I think Ohio State fans have nightmares about him still. Best part is he's gotten bigger. I saw a picture.
He's got injury problems, though, right?
He has. This year, it was unclear. This year was very unclear if it was injury issues or personal issues or what it was that was keeping him out this year. I know that frustrated a lot of Purdue fans that they're like, okay, they say he's good to go. They say he opted back in. Why isn't he playing? And he's a very private guy, so he doesn't he'll randomly delete his Twitter. He's always private mode on Twitter, so he has to accept your follow request. But he's just an absolute weapon, and he can jump, he can run, he can catch. He's put on some serious muscle mass too. There was a picture of him that I saw from his off-season workouts, and it was like, this guy looks like he's like a 5'6" DK Metcalf now. Like, he was jacked beyond belief, and I think that should help with his durability a little bit. I think we lost Nick.
Yeah, we maybe did. Looks like he's frozen there. Yep, that's probably it. Well, that's right. I guess you and I will close out the rest of this draft.
But yeah, Rondale Moore would be a great weapon for the Bills.
Okay. I have the Bills going with Asante Samuel Jr. for corner here. And Nick did just text me his picks, so I'll give those. I've been going with Asante Samuel here. I think wide receiver, I could see them. So I still have Elijah Moore left on the board. I could see them going Elijah Moore, wide receiver, if he's still there at that point. But I've been going with Asante Samuel at corner there. Nick had them going with Jason Owen at pick 30 there. So, yeah, that was his pick, and that was my pick. And now we'll move on to pick 31, which is the Kansas City Chiefs. Caleb, who'd you have KC taking at 31?
Well, if you watched the Super Bowl like I did, I'm no expert, but I do believe the Chiefs might need a little bit of help on the offensive line.
Maybe a little.
So I have them taking Alex Leatherwood, the offensive tackle out of Alabama.
Okay. Yeah, offensive line, I mean, that is the clear pick that they need to make here. They don't have holes pretty much anywhere else, but they have a huge hole at offensive line, especially with the guys that they had to let go and then with how they played in the Super Bowl with injuries and stuff. I have them going with Jalen Mayfield, the offensive tackle from Michigan here. Good interior guy there. I think that would be a nice pick for them. So I have them going with Jalen Mayfield. Nick had them going with Zaven Collins at 31 there as well too. So that's an interesting pick, but I don't mind it. And then pick number 32, the defending champs Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Caleb, who do you have them going with?
You can never have too many offensive linemen. I have them going with a very versatile offensive lineman who they wouldn't need to start from day one. but he could. And that's Landon Dickerson, the interior offensive lineman from Alabama. He's got good versatility. He could play multiple positions on the offensive line. Maybe they go with Trayvon Moehrig, the safety, pair him with Antoine Winfield Jr. But the Bucs team really doesn't have many holes.
They
I
don't.
mean, they're a Super Bowl champion.
They're able to retain a lot of the players, pretty much their entire team as well.
And
So,
I do think they might need to go with a quarterback at some point,
yeah.
but not yet. They can wait. They could get a Kyle Trask or a Davis Mills or a Zach Thomas. They can wait.
Yeah. Ian Book potentially. They want to really, if they really want to wait.
What are they waiting for? For him to come up from the practice squad to be third string?
It's a good point. Nick had them going with Asante Samuel here at corner. Again, at pick 32, I mean, you kind of mentioned it. There really isn't going to be a bad pick with what they decide to do. They're really solid on all facets of the game here. I have them going with Gregory Rousseau from Miami. Get some help on the edge. Shore up the defensive line a little bit there. So that is who I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going with, Caleb. So now is a fun part of the show because you get to give us your sleepers, your diamonds in the rough that people may not be talking about much here. So go ahead and show us who you got.
My number one sleeper, regardless of position. I knew he was going to be good. The Senior Bowl and the workouts have started to show other people that he has legitimate talent, and that's Benjamin St-Juste, the cornerback from Minnesota. He's 6'3", 202 pounds. He ran the exact same shuttle time as Darren Sproles. This is 5'6", 190-pound Darren Sproles, who is widely regarded as one of the most shifty running backs that there's been. And you have a 6'3", 200-pound corner running the same shuttle time. And then he did the 3-cone drill, and he ran a 6'6'3". That would have been the number 1 3-cone drill last year, and the number 2 3-cone drill the year before. And it would have been top 10. I looked back. It would have been top 10, mostly top 5 every year since at least 2012. That's when I just stopped looking at it. It was like this guy, his 3-cone drill is a legitimate top 10 every single year. I think the main knock on him is he never recorded an interception in college, but he was always in position, and he's a good tackler. There's a couple other corners that I would also have as sleepers, and that would be Rodarius Williams, the brother of Grady Williams from Oklahoma State. And I mentioned him in the first part when we were talking about Trey Lance, and that's Robert Rochelle, the corner out of the University of Central Arkansas. Those are just some names to watch at corner. Other than that, a guy like Dwayne Eskridge at wide receiver, he's a playmaker. He could be a poor man's Kadarius Toney or Rondale Moore, and he'll be sitting there in the second, third round. That's a guy that maybe the Vikings, maybe that's their wide receiver number 3. Limiting my wide receiver choices, the only other one would be Jalen Darden, who is very small. He's 5'8", 174, but he is a burner. And I think that just keep an eye on him.
Okay.
On the offensive line, got a pair of Missouri Valley Football Conference offensive linemen, and that's Spencer Brown from Northern Iowa and Dylan Radins from North Dakota State. Both of those guys, good size. I don't have the numbers here, but they're both good size. Went to a smaller school, and so they'll be available second, third round. On the interior, really limiting it here just to Quinn Miners from Wisconsin Whitewater. Real small school prospect, big guy. He could be a stud. He could be the next, what was his name? The Buccaneers drafted him out of Hobart, and he was really good.
I can't think. Can't think of his name.
Oh, well, I'll look like an idiot for not remembering that. On the defensive line, you got Cam Sample, who's a interior defensive lineman who can also be bumped out to the edge position. I think for a guy coming out of Tulane, he could cause some serious damage in the NFL. Edge rusher, Ellerson Smith from Northern Iowa, and Taron Jackson from Coastal Carolina. Those are two names I'd watch. Smith is 6'6", so that's fairly good size for a pass rusher. Let's see, what else did I have? Yeah, I mean I'd say maybe a defensive tackle. The only other person I would add to that list is a guy who he's more of, I don't know if he's actually going to get drafted. I think he could be a undrafted free agent signing, and that would be Lorenzo Neal Jr., the son of former Chargers fullback Lorenzo Neal. He's a defensive tackle out of Purdue. He's had some injury issues, but he's still got good size, and who knows?
Who knows? You never know with these late round picks. A lot of them come out to shock people. So maybe all of these guys will come out and be the next best thing in the NFL, and then you'll look like a genius.
Maybe.
Nice. Well, anyways, Caleb, I want to thank you for coming on the show. The NFL draft was by far probably my favorite live sporting event thing to watch. I absolutely love it, and this is probably one of my favorite times of the year. So I thank you for coming on and doing that.
It's always a fun time. Always a pleasure coming on the show, talking draft.
Absolutely. So if you want to go ahead and plug anything that you want to plug in here, some Twitter accounts. I know you've got a scroll full of them, so go ahead and plug them here.
Well, I'll just keep it short and simple. At MSP Athletics, it's the big one to follow. If you enjoy any sports teams in the Minneapolis-St. Paul metropolitan area, as well as sometimes we stretch out, we'll give a little bit of information on other teams in the state. Really, if it's in the state of Minnesota and you like unfiltered sports takes, and I mean, sometimes it gets unfiltered.
It does. Yeah, it does.
Drunk sports takes are always a fun time. We haven't had any of those in a while. We'll have to get some of those on the account. And then the other main one would be I'm the guy for Sidelines Minnesota. That's at SSN_Gophers. And that's where I stick to all of the University of Minnesota athletics, anything from football to softball to women's basketball, men's basketball. It's a good source. And if you're a fan of any other college, just follow Sidelines College Football. We have Sidelines College Basketball was just released tonight. And then there's a Sidelines account for almost any team. So look for Sidelines on Twitter.
Absolutely. Sidelines has definitely taken over Twitter as far as sports goes. Like Caleb said, they've got a Twitter page for probably just about any.
I heard they've got a Rockies Twitter page now.
They might do that. They might. You'll have to check that out. If you're a Rockies fan, at SSN_Rockies there. I don't know who does that page, but I think they're a pretty cool guy that likes watching the Rockies. So check that one out. Nice. But anyways, yeah, Caleb, thanks for doing that. I appreciate that for sure. But if you'd like to follow those Twitter pages, if you want to follow our Twitter page, or follow mine at Lucas_Dorton, capital LND. If you want to follow Nick on Twitter, you can follow him at Doetkott. And if you want to follow the official Twitter page of the podcast, is at DND_podcast, capital D's, capital P for that. So be sure to follow all of those pages. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Share, follow with your friends. If you guys have any times that you guys want to come on, let us know. We'd love to have you, just like Caleb here is doing for us today. But anyways, folks, as for myself and Nick Duckett, and for Caleb Sipe. Until next time, we are out.